Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a fine and wonderful morning this Friday. It's nice and sunny here in Newcastle. Hope the weather is treating you wonderful where you are as well. Today, it is myself and Michael, and this is the second run at the VAT Proficiency 2025, the quiz. We ran this yesterday, same questions, same routine. So if you're here again just to test your knowledge further, brilliant. If not, let's go over some of the rules. Now, you would have attended 5 of the 7, I'd imagine, so you would have heard the rules before. But just to reconfirm, your microphone is muted automatically, so if you cough or sneeze, we're not going to hear you, don't worry. Not going to interject whatsoever. Also, you can send us questions during this webinar, but because it's the quiz, we're going to be the ones asking you the questions. So you may want to notify us of your answers or your results at the end. Feel free to do that. There's no handout, obviously, because a handout would just be the slides and that would be all the questions and the answers. And we're not that kind. We're not going to give you the questions and the answers right at the start. So, as I mentioned, the VAT Proficiency Badge is drawing to a close. We are rerunning this in July, so if you've missed any sessions, you can re-attend and sign up, sage.co.uk/webinars for that, and you will get that lovely badge and a credible that you can put on LinkedIn. I mentioned this yesterday in yesterday's quiz. We've already seen them on LinkedIn everywhere, so it's fantastic to see you guys enjoying them and displaying them and letting everybody know that you are proficient in VAT Sage 50 accounts. So today is testing your knowledge. What we're going to be covering, well, all the subjects we've done webinars on: tax codes, VAT return, VAT verification settings, running reports, corrections, and then we have a special final round. Those of you who attended yesterday, we have changed the special final round for today, so there will be no instant victories, and it's a rather difficult one as well this time around. For those of you who are new to the quiz and haven't seen it yesterday, you'll understand what I mean when we get there. But please stick around for that final round. It's a good bit of fun. Now, again, not there are rules to this, but really it's just about taking part and, having a crack. We're not going to be marking your results whatsoever. It's self-marked. So any answers you give, they are your answers to mark at the end. Now, there's going to be multiple rounds, some shorter than others, but it's all going to be based on the content that we've covered. We're using the poll facility. So some of them you'll be selecting one answer, some of them it'll be multi-answer. I'll let you know beforehand. But if you don't know the answer, just have an educated guess. Again, no pressure. Your attendance today is enough for us. After I've asked the questions, Michael will go through the answers at the end of each round for you. And if we're lucky enough, he'll do some demonstrations as well so we can see exactly what we're on about. And again, just to really re-emphasize the fact, you are marking your own tests here. So just be as honest as you possibly can do. Brilliant. I hope you're all ready. So pen and paper out the ready is fantastic. We are going to start with the first round. The first round is on tax codes. So the first question 1. Nice easy one to get us all started. Where can you view and amend your tax codes? So where can you view and amend them? Is it settings, company preferences, settings, configuration, settings, control accounts? So A, B, or C? A, settings, company preferences, B, settings, configuration, and C, settings, control accounts. Once we've got up to 70% of people who have voted, I'll be sharing the answers with you. So if we could get those answers in, that'd be wonderful. So remember, this is question 1, tax codes round. There's going to be 3 questions in total of this round. This is the first one. And again, I mentioned it yesterday, but not to give any hints, if you do have your program open, you could potentially have a look. I'm going to close that poll off now, and let's have a see where the majority went. So the majority went 65% B, settings, with 26% A, settings, company preferences, and 9% C, settings, control accounts. Next question, question 2. So this question again, tax code related. What is the default tax code for non-VATable transactions? So what's the default tax code for non-VATable transactions? Is it A, T0, B, T2, or C, T9? So this is something that Michael covered off in the first in the series of the webinars. Some of these questions I can't talk too much about because I will reveal answers, and I got in trouble for that yesterday. So I'm going to be very cloak and dagger. I'm going to read out the questions today. I had to buy Michael a sticky bun to apologise for ruining some of the questions. Brilliant. I shall close off that question now, and we'll see where the majority went. So we've got 88% said C, T9, 12% said A, T0, and nobody went for B, T2. Final question of this round. Question 3. So, where can you configure the F11 and F12 function keys? This was a very interactive piece that Michael did during his webinar. So where can you configure the F11 and F12 function keys? Is it A, settings company preferences, B, settings configuration, or C, tools and options? Again, very straightforward if you do it all the time, or if you have done it before. If you haven't, then obviously it might be completely new to you. But if you're present at the webinar, you would know the answer to this one, I'd imagine. So votes are coming flying in now. If we could all choose an option, I'll be able to close this round off for you, and we'll be able to go through the answers. But first, what we'll do is we'll have a look and we'll see where the majority landed. I'm going to do that now. So the majority landed on C, tools and options, with 24% following up behind with settings and configuration, and nobody chose A, settings company preferences. What I'm going to do is now pass over to Michael, who will go through the answers with you.
Thank you, Matt. Right, okay. So let me just share my screen and we'll get stuck in with the answers. Right, so question 1 of the tax codes around. Where can you view and amend your tax codes? So I think the majority got this right. So it is settings configuration. So you can actually view your tax codes in other areas, obviously when you're processing transactions and things like that. But as far as actually amending your tax codes, so amending things like rates and how they appear on your VAT return, whether they're active or not, it is within settings configuration. You've got that tax codes tab in there. So point if you guessed option B. Question 2. What is the default tax code for non-VATable transactions? So this is something we covered in the tax code session. It's about 2 weeks ago nearly now. Seems like a long time ago that. But it's something that people get very confused about, the difference between T0, T2 and T9. So T0 normally used for zero rated transactions. Transactions that do, although it's 0%, they do still appear on the VAT return. Similar for T2. The way that the impact on your VAT return, T0, T2, pretty much the same. They don't affect the overall liability normally. But T9 is the correct answer. It's the non-VATable tax code. Now, if you're unsure about that one, so it's for where you want transactions not to be impacted on the VAT return. So if we just quickly share my screen, you can check yours just to see if it is set to that by going into settings, company preferences. It will ask you for your password at that point. And then on the VAT tab at the top, you've got this second box down, non-VATable tax code. So by default, that should be T9. If it's not set to T9, it means at some point someone's gone in and changed that. So T9 is the correct answer. Right, back to the slides. Question 3. So where can you configure the F11 and F12 function keys? So this was part of the hands-on task if you did attend that tax code session. So you'll actually do that within tools and options. F11 and F12. F11 by default, if you've never amended the settings for that one, by default, that would open your the settings in Windows control panel. So don't really use it much these days while you're working in Sage. But it's how you would have accessed it in the past. F12 would launch the report designer. Again, very few people would access report designer in this way these days. So you do have the option to configure those. So if you go back to the tax code session, what we demonstrated with that hands-on task was how you can put a little bit of code in there to maybe open your favorite web page. So if there's a resource you always refer to, and we use the example of the tax code finder. So that great resource in our help center, which helps you by asking you a few questions and you answering those to try and determine what tax code a certain transaction should use. So tools and options is the correct answer. So we'll go back to Matt and we'll crack on with round 2.
Thank you, Michael. Superb. So hopefully you did well on the first 3 questions. And what we'll do is we'll branch straight into round 2, which is your VAT return. Now this was hosted by myself, second in the list. And let's begin with question 4. So question 4 should be on your screens momentarily. There we are. So what's the first task that you should complete in the VAT return wizard? Should you A, take a backup, B, enter your VAT period, or C, check your VAT verification settings? I've been known to labour this point somewhat during any webinar that I host. So hopefully we'll get top marks here. But what do you think is the first task that you should complete in the VAT return wizard? Is it A, taking a backup, B, enter your VAT period, or C, check your VAT verification settings? Now, everybody is answering this question so speedily today. It's a bit quicker than yesterday's. I'm going to be closing the poll rather shortly, and we'll be having a look at the answers. Brilliant. Nearly every single person answered that there. So 100% went for A, take a backup, and nobody went for B or C. I wonder what the answer could be. We shall find out momentarily. But on to question 5. Question 5 is a simple yes or no. So can you manually undo a VAT return once it has been reconciled? A for yes, and B for no. Do you remember the stages in which you complete a VAT return? Can you manually undo a VAT return once it has been reconciled? Let's see here. The answers could come in. Again, it is a point that I laboured during the webinar. It's okay if you don't know, because it might not be your area of the programme, but it's something certainly to be wary of. What I'm going to do is close that poll momentarily. There we are. So the majority went 81% to B, you cannot. And A said yes, you can. Question 6. Here we are, should be in front of you now. Once you've calculated your VAT return, can you alter the transactions that affect it? Again, remembering the stages, important in this one. Once you've calculated your VAT return, is it possible to alter the transactions that affect it? A for yes, and B for no. Not too much I can discuss with this one. Again, giving away answers. I think the only clue I could really give to that one is remembering the stages in which you complete this process. So one more time, once you've calculated your VAT return, can you alter the transactions that affect it? A for yes, B for no. Let's have a look and see who went where. So 88% say yes, and 12% say B, no. Let's go into question 7. Should be on your screens now. When posting the VAT transfer, which 2 nominal codes is the reconciled VAT transferred from? So when you're posting the VAT transfer, which 2 nominal codes is the VAT transferred from? Is it transferred from A, the sales tax and purchase tax control accounts, B, the sales tax control account and VAT liability, or C, purchase tax control account and VAT liability? I think this is one of the first tough questions that we have. Again, harking your memory back to the demonstration on this. Hopefully you were present or you rewatched the webinar, one of the two. Answers coming in thick and fast at the moment. We're nearly at that magic 70-75% required before I close the question off. So I'll read it out one more time for you. When posting the VAT transfer, which two nominal codes is the reconciled VAT transferred from? Sales tax and purchase tax control accounts, the sales tax control account and VAT liability, or the purchase tax control account and VAT liability? Close that question off now. Let's see where the majority went. So majority 89% went for sales tax and purchase tax control accounts, and 11% went for sales tax control account and VAT liability. Two more questions of this round. Moving on, question 8. So what does it mean if a VAT return status shows as pending? Does it mean that A, you haven't made your payment yet, B, the VAT return hasn't been submitted, or C, the VAT return has been calculated but not reconciled? And this is on a column in your VAT module on the left-hand side. It's the biggest clue as I could give you. But just to run through the answers again, when it is showed as pending in that module, in your VAT screen, does it mean that you haven't made your payment yet? Does it mean that the VAT return hasn't been submitted? Or does it mean that the VAT return has been calculated but not reconciled? Again, if you don't know the answer to this one, just have a guess. It might not be your area that you look at. It might be not something that you pay mind to. And it's all about today is just finding those gaps in knowledge, if we're honest with you, so you can identify where potentially you need to watch a webinar again. We need to do that little bit of reading on it. So wouldn't put too much pressure on yourselves. Let's have a quick look. 80% say the VAT return hasn't been submitted. 16% say the VAT return has been calculated but not reconciled. And 4% say they haven't made your payment yet. Final question of this round, of this submission. Question 9. True or false, you can manually mark a VAT return as submitted. A for true, B for false. Nice 50-50 one to end the round here. So you can manually mark VAT return as submitted. True or false? Some fast answers coming in again there. So what I'll do is I'll close the poll off. We'll have a quick look at who went where the chips were stacked, and then we'll get over to Michael to run through the answers. So 72% say true and 28% say B, false. Over to Michael for the answers.
Thank you, Matt. Right, okay, straight into the answers then. So, question number 4. What's the first task you should complete in the VAT return wizard? So answer is A, take a backup. You can actually complete the others. You can change the VAT period. You can check your VAT verification settings, but always take that backup first. The amount of customers that we speak to where they've gone in to just check the VAT return and just thought, I'll quickly calculate the VAT return just to see what the figures currently look like, and then they accidentally reconcile and flag their transactions. And then you're left without that backup. So always take that backup, whether you're going in to do the VAT return for real end of your VAT quarter, or whether you're just checking, take that backup first. You can always restore if you reconcile an error, or if you spot a mistake before you submit, you could do it again. So answer A, take a backup. Question 5, can you manually undo a VAT return once it has been reconciled? So answer B is correct, you can't. You can't manually undo it. The only way you can undo a VAT return from being reconciled is to restore that backup, which is the importance of taking that backup beforehand. Now remember, restoring a backup, although it would undo the fact that you've reconciled a VAT return, it doesn't undo your submission. So if you spot that mistake, you've already made your submission to the likes of HMRC or the revenue, then it would be really to contact them first before you, I suppose, you take any further action. But you can't manually undo it. It's not like a bank reconciliation where you can start removing flags against specific transactions or even just deleting a reconciliation. Question 6, once you've calculated your VAT return, can you alter the transactions that affect it? So the correct answer here is A. And I suppose the trick in the question there is once you've calculated it. So when you calculate a VAT return, it takes you on to essentially step 2 of the VAT return. So you haven't reconciled at that point. So if at that point you're checking your figures, you spot that mistake, you can always close out of the VAT return and then obviously post whatever transaction or correction that you need to, and then rerun it. So again, point if you chose option A. Question 7, when posting the VAT transfer, which 2 nominal codes is the reconciled VAT transferred from? So this is the VAT transfer option on step 3 of the VAT return wizard. It's a little option which essentially transfers VAT. Your reconciled VAT, it posts a little journal for you, does it automatically, so it's nice and quick. So the answer there is it's your sales and your purchase tax control accounts. It would still affect the VAT liability because that's essentially where it transfers that reconciled VAT value to. But it is the sales and purchase tax control accounts that it's essentially transferring it from. So again, answer A, point if you guessed that right. Question 8, what does it mean if a VAT return status shows as pending? Now, if you are familiar with the VAT return, you may have just sort of got a little bit confused here because there are a few different options and it relates to the next question as well. But what it means is that the VAT return hasn't been submitted. So you haven't submitted that from your software or you haven't manually flagged it either. So you've calculated it, you've agreed the figures, you've reconciled it, and it's at that stage. So in the status column, I'll just quickly show you this one actually. Show you what we mean by that one. I'll go into the VAT ledger. So here we've got one here of it's reconciled. It's reconciled because it appears on the list and it has in the status column, it says pending. Some of the other columns will have an N as opposed to the word pending. It was the status we're after, and that refers to your submission. So it'll either say pending or submitted. So that's what that means. On to question 9, and it links in with that one we've just asked. Can you manually mark a VAT return as being submitted? And the answer to that one is true. So it's the little tick box within the VAT return. So if I quickly go back to my software again, if we go into this VAT return here that we've got that has the status of pending, this submission area here, you'll have a similar submission area if you are based in Ireland as well. So Ireland, obviously you can't submit online direct from your software, but once you've done it, you would need to come in and just tick the box to say, right, I've now submitted that. Used to do this on all the VAT returns prior to MTD coming along, if you're based in the UK or Ireland. So you would just tick the box, mark it as submitted to say, right, we've actually done that. We haven't done it from the software, but we've actually completed that. And if I close out, you'll see that status now. It changes to submitted as well. So if you've got all the returns, quite a common question when Matt runs that session as well on the VAT return. Well, I've got loads of old VAT returns. They still say pending. Why is that? How can I get rid of it? How can I show them as submitted? Just need to open it, tick the box, close out the VAT return, and it will change to submitted. Right, now that completes the answers to that round. I'll hand you back to Matt, and he can continue with round 3.
Super duper, fantastic. So we're almost halfway through. Once we finish this round, we will officially be halfway through. So hopefully your scores are doing well. If not, don't worry, there's still chances for redemption. Let's begin that redemption journey with question 10. And that is, where can you see tax codes belong to the VAT boxes in your VAT return? So where can you see which tax codes belong to the VAT boxes in your VAT return? Use the drill down in the VAT return. B, use settings, configurations, tax codes. C, help and about. Or D, settings, company preferences. So again, this is kind of a top tip of where you can see which tax codes belong to the VAT boxes in your VAT return. Can help you sometimes decide which one to use, potentially narrow the list down, but it's just good to have that background information. Where's that transaction gone? So is it A, use the drill down in the VAT return, B, settings, configuration, tax codes, C, help and about, or D, settings, company preferences? A lot of people have answered that question now, so I'm going to close that poll. Share the responses. So the majority have said 96%. A, use the drill down in the VAT return, and 4% have gone B, settings, configuration, tax codes. Next question, question 11. Can you post a journal to appear on your VAT return? A very, very popular question, this one. Already answers are flying in. So it is A for yes, B for no. Can you post a journal to appear on your VAT return? Again, a question I can't go too much into. So I shall sit here and wait for 75% who have answered. This is a short round. So question 10 and 11 and 12 are dedicated to the top 5 questions that we get asked. So this is the penultimate question. Question 12 is going to be the last one of the round. I'm going to close this question off now. We shall move on to the final question of the round, which is going to be question 12. Let's have a look at the majority first, though, shall we? So 96% say yes, you can post a journal to appear on the VAT return, and 4% have said no. Question 12. Last question of the top 5 questions round here. And this one is multi-answer. So pick all that you believe apply. Why might your figures not match the control account balances? So why might your figures not match the control account balances? Is it A, they should always match, B, future dated transactions, C, VAT scheme, or D, non-VATable journals are posted to the control accounts? Again, quick rundown of those answers. It's multi-choice. I believe we're offering a point per choice. Michael will confirm that. But is it A, well, they should always match, B, future dated transactions, C, VAT scheme, or D, non-VATable journals are posted to the control accounts? Personally, I think this is one of the most difficult questions of the quiz. So just have a stab at it if you don't know the answer. I'm going to close that question off now. Let's have a look and see where the majority have gone. So the majority went for B and D, so 92 and 85% have gone for future dated transactions, non-VATable journals, 35% for VAT scheme, and 8% have said they should always match. That is the end of the round, so I'm going to pass over to Michael to go through those 3 answers for you.
Thank you, Matt. Right, let's get straight into the answers. So, question 10. Where can you see which tax codes belong to the VAT boxes in your VAT return? Easiest option, use the drill down in the VAT return itself. Some of the other options you can find information about the tax codes, but the easiest option within your software, just when you calculate your VAT return, just literally use the drill down. For those of you that aren't familiar with drill down, I'll quickly show you what we mean by that. You can drill down as well on the once you've reconciled a VAT return. So it's often used just to find out more about it. So often we get support queries as well, where people just say, where does that figure come from? It's a bit higher than I was expecting, a bit lower. So use that drill down. So what do we mean by that one? I'll quickly calculate a VAT return. We'll do it for the quarter of last year. So when I calculate it, I'll include some old late transactions. And when we got the VAT return, so where we've got this little icon attached to each of the boxes that have a value, some of the boxes don't have that option. You can't drill down on them because they're just calculated based on the other totals. But where you do have the icon and it's active, you can click on it. And it means you can easily drill down. So this gives you a table, a breakdown of box 1. So transaction types at the top that get picked up by that particular box. Obviously that is going to vary per VAT scheme, and also the tax codes that impact on that box as well. So for instance, I was entering a sales invoice at, let's just say T15, potentially it would pick that up as well. Right, let's crack on. We'll go back to the slides. Margaret, you've commented there saying you like the letters on the answers. It was on the back of your idea from yesterday, that one, on your comment. Thought we'd better react to that one, make it easier for you to write your answers down. So I'm glad you like it. Right, on to the next question then. So question 11. Can you post a journal to appear on your VAT return? The correct answer to that one is yes. The vast majority of your journals that you do post will be posted with a T9 tax code, which is essentially your non-VATable tax code. So the vast majority won't impact on your return, but there will be the odd occasion where a journal is posted and you do want it to be picked up on the VAT return. So things like hire purchase agreements, for instance, sometimes it's a little bit easier just to put that through as a journal, and you want those certain elements of that journal to be picked up. So you just need to override that non-VATable tax code and change it to become VATable. It would then pick that up when you run your return. So correct answer is A. Question 12. So why might your figures not match the control account balances? So figures on your VAT return, when you calculate it, you think you've calculated right up to date. Why would they be different to those figures on your control accounts? Well, the only one that's not really correct is option A. Option B is correct. If you've got some future dated transactions, so some transactions that are beyond the end of your beyond your current VAT period, they would still be on the control account balance. Remember, the control account balance itself, it's not date sensitive, that. So it just looks at all of the transactions that are being posted to it, and that's the balance it reflects when you're looking at it in the likes of the nominal codes list. So future dated transactions, yes, definitely. Your VAT scheme. So obviously there's loads of different VAT schemes. Common one, cash accounting. If you're running your VAT return, if you've got any outstanding invoices that haven't yet been paid, then the VAT from that invoice would be reflected in the control account balance, but it wouldn't be picked up on the VAT return because it hasn't been paid yet. That's just the nature of that specific scheme. So again, a point if you got that one. I think about 35% of you voted for that one. So give yourself that extra point. And finally, option D, non-VATable journals are posted to the control accounts. Now, generally, the only non-VATable journals that you will post to the control accounts are going to be your VAT transfer journals, when you're journaling that reconciled VAT out of the control accounts. And obviously, you don't have to manually do that. You do it via the VAT transfer option on step 3 of the VAT return itself. So it saves you having to try and work out the debits and credits and have you got them the right way around. So use that VAT transfer option. Right, that's the answers for this round. We'll go on to round 4 and hand you back to Matt.
Thank you very much, Michael. Super duper. So now we are officially at the halfway stage. We are entering into round 4, which is on VAT verification settings. This is the shortest round of the actual quiz itself. So there's only 2 questions here on VAT verification. Let's have a look and see what the first one is. So it's going to be question 13 for you all. And the question is, VAT verification settings. Do they indicate something is wrong with your data? Do they B, indicate potential issue that needs reviewed? Or C, they're for HMRC to verify your VAT return submission? So what are the 4? What do we do the VAT verification settings for? Is it to indicate something's wrong with the data, to indicate potential issues that need to be reviewed, or is it C, for HMRC to verify your VAT return submission? Again, I did touch on this as well during the first, well, the VAT return webinars, number 2 and 3 of the series. I glossed over it because it is part of that submission wizard, even put my teeth in. So hopefully I'll give you a good idea. We're approaching 75%, so I'm going to close this poll off now. So if you want to get your answers in about 3 seconds, thank you very much. There we go. I'm going to share the answers. So the majority said B. 87% indicate potential issues that need reviewed. 4% say indicate something is wrong with the data, and 9% say C, HMRC to verify your VAT return submission. Next question and final question of the round, question 14. So the settings identify an invoice that has not been updated. What should you do? This is a scenario. Put yourself in this position. The settings identify that an invoice has not been updated. What should you do? Should you A, just ignore it? B, check it and update it to the ledgers? Or C, delete the invoice from invoices and credits? So again, this is what should you do? Or kind of what we would advise you to do. Would you A, ignore it, B, check it and update the ledgers, or C, delete the invoice from invoices and credits? Again, I'll wait until we get around about 70-75% that have answered, which is going to be quite sharpish because everybody's answering rather quickly. So it's always a very good sign. In fact, we're going to close the poll there because nearly everybody has. And let's have a look. 100% say B, check it and update it to the ledgers. So nobody wanted to ignore it, and nobody said delete the invoice from invoices and credit. I wonder what the answer could be. I'm sure Michael will enjoy telling us as we hand over to him now to complete the answers. Over to you.
Yeah, I think we've got that transfer issue again that we had yesterday. Just bear with us a second. There we go. Right, let me share the right screen as well. That would help. Okay, so answers to round 4 based around the VAT verification settings. So question 13, the VAT verification settings. Answer to that one is B. They indicate something is potentially wrong and needs to be reviewed. So it's not saying it is wrong. So for instance, one of the verification settings is to, it'll check for transactions not using your most commonly used tax code, which by default you probably got set to T1 in the majority of instances. So it's not necessarily saying something is wrong with the transaction that doesn't use T1, but all it's saying is, right, well, actually, you want to check this one. It's not your most commonly used tax code in the software. So point if you chose option B there. And question 14, I think everyone got this one. The settings identify an invoice that has not been updated. What should you do? So very glad you didn't just say ignore it. Don't just brush it under the carpet. and ignore the fact it's highlighting something. Always best to check it. And if it should be there, which generally the majority of instances when we support customers, it's a valid invoice, and it's just normally just people have forgot to update that. And it's one of the reasons that the VAT verification options were actually brought in, just to so you're not in a position where you reconcile your VAT return and then you come back later on and think, oh, I've got an invoice there that falls in that VAT period. I just hadn't done it. I just missed it for whatever reason. So always check, and in this case, if it's a valid invoice, you would update that to the ledgers. So again, nice short round that one. We'll hand you back to Matt.
Super. Thank you very much, Michael. So we are heading into round 5, the penultimate round, and this is on running reports. So this is a webinar that Michael held and went through all of the options for the reports in connection with VAT. This round itself consists of 3 questions, starting with question 15, which will be on your screens momentarily, and that is, what's the simplest way to see how a value on your VAT return calculates? So what's the simplest way to see how it calculates? Is it to A, use the drill down, B, use the VAT return detailed report, or C, use the daybooks reports? And this is a 1 answer question. So is it A, use the drill down, B, use the VAT return detailed report, or C, use the daybook reports? Same as always, wait until 70% have answered, and then we'll switch across. Superb. Right then, so we have the answers in there. I'm going to share them with you. So the majority have said 69% A, use the drill down, 23% B, use the VAT return detailed report, and 8% C, use the daybooks reports. Next question, question 16. So in step 2 of the VAT return wizard, when generating VAT reports, why might a report be grayed out? So is it A, the user does not have access to the report, B, the report isn't applicable to your VAT scheme, or C, no transactions for that report are included? So again, it's harking your memory back to Michael's webinar, of which hopefully you attended, because the VAT report are a call driver that we get for technicians. And it's a very informative webinar, and if it was one of the ones that you didn't manage to attend, I would highly recommend rewatching it, because it's full of nice little tidbits that you can use to make your processing a bit easier, and also on what information to save and where to claim it from. So is it A, the user does not have access to the report, B, the report isn't applicable to your VAT scheme, or C, no transactions for that report are included? The majority have cast votes, so I'm going to be closing this poll more momentarily. I'm going to show the response. This is a split. So we've got A, 13% have said the user does not have access to the report, and then we've got a 43% tie between B and C. Michael will be going through the answers with you after the final question of this round, which is question 17, and that is as follows. What might cause a transaction to appear on your VAT return but not be included on the relevant daybooks report? This is a brain teaser, this one for me. So what might cause a transaction to appear on your VAT return but not be included on the relevant daybooks report? Is it A, the tax code? Is it B, the transaction date? Or is it C, it's already VAT reconciled? So again, top tier question. can't say too much again about this one because I will be revealing answers. And I can't afford to be bringing sticky buns in for Michael every morning. So I'm going to try and avoid revealing anything at all. Is it A, tax code, B, transaction date, or C, already VAT reconciled? I'm going to share the answers with you now, and then we're going to head over to Michael, who's going to go through the answers with you. But first, 30% say A, tax code, 65% say B, transaction date, and 22% say C, already VAT reconciled. So back over to Michael, who's going to go through the answers.
Thank you, Matt. Right, okay, let's get stuck straight in then. So round 5, reports the answers. So question 15, what's the simplest way to see how a value on your VAT return calculates? I think I alluded to this one in one of the little demonstrations a little bit earlier. It is use the drill down. It's the easiest option. Yes, some people like to run reports. They are easy to run as well. The likes of the detailed report, the daybook report, but the vast majority of times when we get questions from our customers when they contact our support line, where does that figure come from? It's higher than I expected. Just use the drill down. Give it a click. It'll display that table. Then on the table, if there's a figure you want more information about, you can highlight it, you can double click it to easily get to that transaction level to get that breakdown. So option A, use the drill down. Question 16, in step 2 of the VAT return wizard, when generating VAT reports, why might a report be grayed out? So it's actually no transactions for that report are included in the return. I'll just quickly demonstrate what we mean by that one, just in case to avoid any confusion. So the answer is C, but let's just quickly demonstrate that one. If we go into the VAT return, and I'll pop in that date range again. So we'll run it up to March 2024, sorry. We'll calculate the return. And I'll just include these late entries. And when we go to print the VAT reports, you'll see that the one that is grayed out is the adjustments. Now, if I'd actually gone into make an adjustment, it would then be available to me. Similar to the earlier unreconciled transactions. If I hadn't included those 2 transactions, this report would be grayed out as well. But because I have included, it's active, I can generate that report. So correct answer for that one was C. So again, give yourself a point if you got that one right. Question 17. Again, if you attended the report session, hopefully you've picked this up, something that we did touch on. So what might cause a transaction to appear on your VAT return? So it's included in your VAT return calculation, so it's a VATable transaction, but not be included on the relevant daybooks report. And the answer to that one is transaction date. So the daybooks report, it doesn't filter transactions by tax code. It'll show all of the specific transaction type, whatever you're running the report for, and it will display the tax codes with that. For those that did attend, you might remember when we looked at that detail, the daybooks report, it did have that list of invoices, combination of T1, and there was a T0 transaction on there as well. So it just displays the transactions. The only thing that's going to make it be excluded is the transaction date. So it's common things like late entries, you include them on the VAT return. They are prior to the VAT period, but when you go to run the daybooks report, you enter the same date range and it strictly applies that date range to the daybooks and the list of transactions it pulls through. Again, option C, it doesn't matter whether a transaction is reconciled or not as far as the daybook report is concerned. It will indicate whether it is or not on the report, but it will still pull it through whether it's reconciled or not. So correct answer, option B. Right, that's the answers for round 5. Back over to Matt.
Thank you very much indeed. So here we head into the final round, round 6, corrections, the last in the series of webinars that we ran. So this is going to be an interesting one. chance to get your final marks in to push you over the score that you set yourself at the start. Let us begin that journey with question 18. First question of the final round is, what happens if you delete a VAT reconciled sales invoice? So what happens if you delete a VAT reconciled sales invoice? A, you can't. B, the invoice deletes, that's it. Or C, a credit is posted to reverse the invoice. So A, you can't. B, the invoice deletes, that's about it. Or C, a credit is posted to reverse the invoice. Again, I did a demonstration on this for you during that webinar, so hopefully you clicked along if you could do your demonstration data. Side note, I always recommend practicing these kind of things in your demonstration data or in your practice data before you do them in your live data, because you can see the effects and what happens. Obviously, in your practice data and your demonstration data, it will not submit VAT return to HMRC because it can't connect to those services. HMRC wouldn't be very happy if they were just getting tax returns for demonstration data every 5 minutes, you can imagine. We are at 73%, so I'm going to close that poll now and share with you the answers. We've got 68% say C, a credit is posted to reverse the invoice, 28% say you can't, and 4% say B, the invoice deletes, and that's it. Question 19. Which of these is a non-critical transaction field? Is it A, tax code? Is it B, date? Is it C, reference? Or is it D, net amount? So which of these is a non-critical transaction field? I went through this during the corrections right at the start of the webinar. The slide itself had two boxes, one with a list of critical, one with a list of non-critical. In this instance, we are looking for the non-critical. Again, I'm biting my tongue from going too far into this question because I will reveal the answer. But everybody has responded pretty much. So what I'm going to do is close off that poll and share the responses. And I can tell you 100%, all of you went for C, reference. I will not give away the answer. I'll wait for Michael to do that. So I shall jump on to the last question of the quiz. And that is, if a reversing transaction is posted, when will it be included on your VAT return? So if a reversing transaction is posted, when will it be included on your VAT return? A, it won't. B, it would automatically adjust on the original VAT return. Or C, you should include it as a late entry in the next return. It's often a common question that we get on this one as well. A lot of you have answered already, which is great stuff. Now remember, this is the last question of the quiz, but we do have a bonus question after this. So please stick around for that bonus question. It's a chance to potentially redeem yourselves if your score hasn't been as good as you thought. And Michael's rather proud of this one. It was very difficult for me to get. So finally, if reversing a transaction is posted, when will it be included in your VAT return? It won't. It will automatically adjust the original VAT return, or you should include it as a late entry in the next return itself. Let's have a look and see where the majority went. 89% say C, 7% said B, and 4% went A. Over to Michael for the results.
Thank you, Matt. Right, let's just get straight in and we can hopefully look forward to our lunches and sitting outside in the sunshine a little bit. Right, okay, so first one, question 18. What happens if you delete a VAT reconciled sales invoice? Now, as it's Friday and it's sunny today, I'm going to say two answers are correct on this one. So technically, you can't delete a VAT reconciled sales invoice. You do need to reverse it. So it'll actually say this transaction can't be deleted, and it will reverse it by posting a credit note. It needs to reverse that for the effect of the VAT. So it doesn't just delete it, won't let you just do that because it is VAT reconciled. So if you did choose A or C, give yourself a point. Question 19, which of these is a non-critical transaction field? Something you might have picked up from our corrections webinar on VAT, but also our other corrections webinars as well that we run occasionally as well. So it is the reference field, which is classed as non-critical. Generally, the non-critical fields are the text-based fields, so the reference, the extra reference, the details, the description, whereas just about all the other fields are the critical fields, so tax codes, dates, amounts. So again, option C, give yourself a point if you got that. And then the final question, if a reversing transaction is posted, when will it be included on your VAT return? So a few of you went for it won't. Another small percentage of you went for it will automatically adjust the original VAT return, which is not correct. No adjustments will be posted to the original VAT return. Remember, once it's reconciled, that's just about it. It's sort of cast in stone at that point. Nothing you can do to adjust the figures on the VAT return at that point. So the correct answer is C. So a reversing transaction, when that's posted, so let's say you delete a VAT reconciled invoice, it will post a reversing transaction, so a credit note in this case. And when you next run your VAT return, it will identify that reversing credit as a late entry. So it'll have the same date on as the original invoice that you've reversed. So you should include that in your next return. So again, point if you chose option C. That brings us to the end of the answers. We'll hand you back to Matt to go through the bonus round.
Super duper. Thank you very much, Michael. So here we are. Hopefully you all scored very highly out of the marks that are available. And this is a nice chance to get the cherry on top of the cake of your quiz for the VAT proficiency today. So without further ado, this is an anagram that we wish for you to solve. The first person that solves it will be awarded 2 points. Everybody else who gets it within the time frame of a minute or just less will be awarded a point. So without further ado, if you look at your screens now, the anagram is in front of you. So submit your answer in the questions panel as soon as you know what it is. Yesterday we had a clear winner. I did have to give a couple of clues though, but this is Chase Me TV. Could that be an anagram of? I have no answers as of yet, so there's still time for you all. We've got a winner. I'm going to give another 20 or 30 seconds or so, just for other people to have a guess. But we do have somebody who was in there first. Some brilliant answers coming in now as well. And don't worry if you don't get it. This took me a while to figure this one out from Michael. I think we've reached the allotted time now of a minute. So what I'm going to do is reveal the answer for you. And it is VAT scheme. So excellent for the answers that came in. I'm going to use your first name only, Daniel. Well done. You got there first, followed closely by Hannah and then another Hannah as well. So what I shall say is, Daniel, 2 points to you and 1 point to everybody else. Superb. So that is the end of the quiz. You will be sent out your VAT Proficiency a Credible Badge 2025 by the end of July, once we've organised, because we are running this session again. And as soon as you get it, if you put it on your LinkedIn, that would be superb. Show people that you are now proficient in using Sage 50 accounts, especially in the arena of VAT. Further support is always available at sage.co.uk/help. You can find loads of articles, guides, and videos that you can watch. And you can watch the re-recordings at sage.co.uk/webinars also. There is no questions today. We've included this slide anyway, just in case there was any that popped up, but there hasn't been any, which is very good. And again, just a reminder, sage.co.uk/help, Sage 50 accounts desktop, and then there's a tile there that says manage your VAT. Select Great Britain and Northern Ireland or Republic of Ireland, whichever is applicable to yourselves, obviously. Other than that, from myself and Michael, I want to say a big thank you for all of your attendance through these sessions. It's been absolutely wonderful, very highly attended series for VAT. We are running it again in July, as I say, so if you do want to revisit this, obviously you won't get 2 badges, but you might just want to refresh your knowledge and then do the quiz again, because we will be doing more anagrams and they will be different. Michael has around about 2 weeks to think of the best ones he can think of. But if you could complete the survey, let us know what you thought about it. Other than that, I'm going to leave you to your lunches. Thank you very much indeed. Enjoy your weekends, and hopefully we shall see you soon. Bye for now.